we went from just the parents of our students to then looking at the grandparents and adding that layer. And then the next challenge came earlier this school year when we wanted to start looking at open enrollment. And so, Brian, if you go ahead, thank you. And so as you can see from our data, especially looking at 2020, our fall PEIMS data, that we're losing roughly 8% of our market share of students each year. And the overwhelming of the majority of our students that are choosing not to attend Garland ISD didn't start with us. They're not enrolling with us. And so in addition to this open enrollment initiative that we've undertaken, we're also looking at our pre-K and kindergarten recruitment effort. And so that has also been going on at the same time we're doing our open enrollment push. Brian, our partner from Bell Creek Consulting, compiled this information that you see here for us. And this representation, as we were going to the board and asking them to approve open enrollment transfers, was very impactful, because they wanted to see what is the potential of our school district of attracting other students from different districts in. And so this let them see that we are an attractive option among the area that we're in here. And I think it was one of the things that, as we were working with our school board, helped them to understand that, yes, if we open, people will come. So this shows you all of the stakeholders that we met with and some of the responses that we received from them. But as we think about our stakeholders, we have to think about our internal stakeholders and our external stakeholders. So one of the groups that is not on here is our principals. They were actually the first group of stakeholders that we had to address here in Garland ISD. And we met with them in small groups, every single principal from high school to elementary school. And we actually had them help us develop the application that our parents need to fill out, and also to develop our scoring rubric. That meeting also helped us to explain open enrollment and get across to our principals the urgency of increasing our enrollment here in the district. Most importantly, though, it did allow them to have voice in the process. Of course, every principal wants students to come to their schools, but we didn't want them to feel put upon or like this was one more thing that they were going to need to worry about. Yes, they're responsible for recruitment, but for this first year, since it was such a short runway, we wanted them to understand that our department would be taking on quite a bit of the load for them. So our scoring rubric includes areas such as academics, attendance, and behavior. And in reviewing the rubric with our principals, it helped us to set the standard that would be applied for all students accepted in for an open enrollment transfer. With the principals, we also discussed the yearly review process that they would be undertaking each spring for students that were allowed in for fall enrollment. This year, we'll assist them with that. But again, we wanted them to understand that, yes, we're taking on a little part of the load for this year, and then the following year, they would be responsible for that process. Same thing for open enrollment. Instead of us here in student services being responsible, we will have small groups among each of our areas that our principals are divided in. All the applications will come into them, and then they will make the initial decisions about accepting students for these open enrollment seats that we have available. And just looking at the stakeholders that we have listed there. Oh, thanks. Okay. Looking at those stakeholders, these are our community members. There is one group that is made up of both community members as well as teachers and other employees here in the district. That's our DEIC committee. And for the most part, though, we were able to reach out to lots of different parent groups. We held 18 parent focus groups, which was quite a bit. With each of those groups, we started with a presentation that included an overview from our greatest cheerleader and champion, Dr. Lopez, and it was just a snippet that we translated into Spanish and Vietnamese so that every parent who wanted to access it via Facebook or YouTube would be able to do that and understand our why. And then to ensure that everyone participated during the sessions that we held, and that they felt seen, heard, and respected, we engaged the parents and focus group members in a protocol that let us make sure that each one of them had an opportunity to let us know what some of their fears were about open enrollment, and then what they saw as some of the really hopeful and bright spots about being able to do open enrollment as a district. And so you can see our stakeholder feedback there. It was very interesting. A lot of the feedback that came back, and I don't think we have it there, but a lot of it was around them understanding how their tax dollars were going to be spent. And so we took all of the questions that we received and all of the comments and concerns, we made sure we responded to those, and we turned those pieces of feedback into our FAQs that appear online for this, for open enrollment. And Brian, oh, thanks. Oops. Okay. So our board voted to approve open enrollment transfers on April 27th. Our applications opened and marketing started on May 3rd. So it was a really fast turnaround. But you can see here our communication and public relations department's efforts started immediately on May 3rd and just continued on. You see the kind of the breadth of all of the different pieces that they put together. And of course, not all of them launched on the 3rd of May. Some of them are spread out. For instance, I think our bus ads with DART just started on last week and will continue through the summer. And our summer is very short this year. We will begin school on August 2nd. And so we did have a need to, of course, put this together very quickly. And I just want to remind you that this is just month 2 for us as we go along this journey. And the remaining slides actually just show a picture of a few of the things that our communications and public relations department have put together to advertise throughout our area of the Metroplex. And so again, just month 2, we definitely have a long way to go to eliminate that 8% loss, and open enrollment is just one measure that we're taking to improve our recruitment and retention efforts. And we definitely have a ways to go.
Dr. Anfield, one question. You did all the stakeholder engagement before board approval. Now that the process has been open for 6 or so weeks, have different questions or concerns been raised from families within the district that maybe didn't surface during the engagement process?
No, we actually, I think because we did so many different groups, we were able to capture what the sentiment was pretty well. And I think our principals were able to help us too, since we had met with them and kind of walked them through what the process was. And so as things came up, they were able to help us. And if they weren't, they would just forward the parent on to us. So I think really if there was a place that was a real kind of a sticky widget, it would have been with taxes, how those are going to be used, how funding actually works. And so it spurred not just the I think we call it like taxpayer questions or concerns in our FAQ area, but it also helped our CPR department realize that, hey, maybe we need to put something just very basic together about school funding so that people understand that the funding follows the student. Nothing is being taken away from us here in Garland ISD by having a student from another district attend. And so we really wanted to get that across to everyone.
That's great. Well, When I think about this journey over the last 8 months, it started with conversations with Garland right when they joined SGS. And at the CIO boot camp in December, I remember Tracy was in a session with me and she was talking about the upcoming Grand Prairie ISD experience. And so she shared the link. I click on the link. I was really impressed by this entire website that they had. And it really encouraged me to start to learn more about Grand Prairie. And so that's what helped some of these connections with Dr. Hemphill and the Garland team. And I thought that was a really good example of sharing. And so when we were thinking about today, we can talk not only about the journey that Garland has been taking, but also hearing about the lessons learned from the last 10 years in Grand Prairie. So Tracy, I'm going to turn it over to you. And Tracy, we're going to be bold when that video comes up. We're just going to try to play it and hope for the best. Otherwise, I'll try to turn it over to Laura. But I really like the video. It just shows how much effort the district has put into this and how it goes way beyond policy. You can check the box of a policy to say, all right, we're doing open enrollment now. But then when the students don't come through, the system, it's because of all the efforts that Grand Prairie has learned about and expanded upon over the last few years. So we'd love to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Brian, and thank you, Babetta. I am Tracy Davis. I work in Grand Prairie ISD and have worked in our district for 26 years now. And so I've witnessed this entire journey that we've had. And the choice journey, most of it has been as an administrator in our district. But I serve as an area superintendent. I support our principals, and then I also manage our the choice process and our kaleidoscope of options that we have for our families here in Grand Prairie. And then I have an amazing team member that's here as well, Miss Galen Broom. And Galen, I'll let you introduce yourself whenever we come to your slides. But anyway, so yes, in Grand Prairie, we were also concerned about the number of students that were living within our borders that were voting with their feet, as it said in the course selection, and not choosing our schools. So we really studied that data, and we determined that we were going to make a concerted effort to win our families back as loyal customers in our district. So we took a few steps, and this is not everything that we did, of course, but these are the key points, or the key things that we tackled. One, we made our schools, we created a kaleidoscope of choice options that focus on anywhere from the arts to STEM to leadership to languages to single gender, early college, Montessori. Some of the campuses have attendance zones, some do not have attendance zones, but we really, and then of course we still have some amazing traditional campuses as well that have a more general traditional approach to their education. But we really expanded the offerings and tapped in on the interests that our families had for their children. So then secondly, again, I said that we wanted to draw our families back. So we widened our in-district transfer approach as well to allow more families that were within our district to access campuses that are outside of their attendance zone. So if the programming that at a campus beside their zoned campus was appealing, where the parents thought that their children would thrive, we wanted them to be able to access that programming as well. So we have a robust both in-district transfer process and then, of course, out-of-district coming in transfer process. So, and then we began to tell our story and really actively engage and inform our stakeholders about the programming that we offer in our district, and through various methods. And Galen is going to do an amazing job about talking about that here in a few moments. But anyway, we tell our story and allow the community to take pride in the programming that we offer here in our district. And then we also made the determination that we would employ the Southwest Airlines approach of not flying planes, and in our case, classrooms empty. So we worked with our board to expand the opportunities for families outside of our district to access our programming if we have empty seats or capacity in grade levels at our campuses. So that was the approach that we took. And then Brian, if you want to go to the next slide, you can see going back to 2011, we also, Babetta, were losing a significant number of students. They were choosing with their feet and walking away from us. And so we employed those methods and actions that I discussed earlier. And you can see as of 2019, we were actually had decreased our slippage and then moved into the positive on our student enrollment. So that's a very exciting thing to see for us. So next, Brian. So this is a map that shows a graph of where those students that access our programs that live outside of our borders are coming from. You can see on this, you can see the number that are coming in, and then just the percentage and some of the demographics of the students that are joining us. But as I said earlier, our main goal is to win and keep our students that are within our area in our seats. We want them to choose us. But allowing the out of district, as Babetta said, there was some at that time, just some wondering about what would happen and priorities and that sort of thing. So we did work hard with our administrators, with our community to build requirements to come into our district from outside of our borders. And so those are that the student has to show that they are serious about their education, that they are committed to learning. And so they have an average of 80, of course, or above in their core content. They have to show that they're serious scholars, that they're going to attend school and take school seriously here in our district. So attendance is important. And then passing all areas of the STAR that they would have taken or tackled in the past, and then an acceptable discipline record for the current year. So those were the criteria that we felt working through our stakeholders with our community were acceptable as far as bringing students from outside of our attendance zone into our district. And then again, there must be available seats at the campuses that they're applying to, and we are going to let our GPISD students have the priority at our campuses. So that built into this process made our stakeholders very excited and welcoming of our new students coming in. So Galen, I will go ahead and let you talk a little bit about how we tell our story now.
Great. Well, this year we had our 10th annual Grand Prairie ISD experience. We've had this event for the past 9 years, and this year was the 10th. As Tracy said, we've done our schools and programs of choice, and our team that's what we call our permanent campaign. Our goal is to share all of the different offerings and all of the great stories that our district has to offer, because our goal is to retain our current kids as well as return our kids back who have chosen, whether it's charter school, private school, homeschool. We want them to see all the options we have in Grand Prairie ISD and that they want to choose us. So hopefully our video is going to work. I would love to show you our video that promos our GPISD experience, as this year we've had an in-person event for 9 years, and this year we went to a virtual event. So hopefully the video works and you can see the marketing that we put out advertising the GPISD experience.
Here goes.
Grand Prairie ISD invites you to find a school as unique as your own. In our 10th year of schools and programs of choice, we continue to offer you the ability to select the learning environment and focus that best fits your family's educational needs with the GPISD experience. This year, our 10th annual GPISD experience will be held virtual for your safety. Our virtual experience gives you the opportunity to explore schools and programs of choice and live chat with principals. Mark your calendar to join us for a new experience in education. The website and experience registration open on January 4th. so you can begin shopping for schools that best match your child's interests. Join our live virtual event and apply early for next year on Saturday, January 9th. Grand Prairie ISD, a proven innovator in choice education, invites you to a new, safe, virtual experience.
So for the past 9 years, we've had this event as an in-person event, and due to safety, it's typically been in November every year. And this year, due to safety, we knew that we could not have an in-person event. But historically, we've had over 10,000 parents and students attend this event. So you can see the picture on the left is every campus. We have 41 campuses. They have an in-person event, in-person booth. And we host this at our DeBisky Career High School. And we have an elementary floor, we have a middle school floor, and a secondary floor where parents can walk through and visit every campus. The principal is there, their leadership team is there, they have teachers there, and they have students there giving testimonials and talking to prospective parents. So this year, with it being a safety issue, we moved it from an in-person event to a virtual event. So if you look to the right there, that is one of our campuses. They all had to set up a virtual booth this year. Next slide, please, Brian. So our team, as I said, we've done this for 9 years, so we know how to put it on in person. So this was all new to go to a virtual platform. So the first thing we did, the communications team, we started researching various platforms, looking at trade show platforms, and we learned very quickly it's very expensive. And so we decided to build it in-house on our website. And so we began collaborating, the communications team with the technology team, the choice team, the PEAMS team, and the principals. As you see, this picture here is all of our principals on Zoom. We had a lot of Zooms with principals, and the principals made this event a huge success for us. Next slide, please. So what we did was we built it in-house. As I said, we had a virtual experience website. So every campus had a virtual booth. And what that did was every campus had to have a minimum of 4 base videos. It was a video that gave an overview of the campus, a video that was a Meet the Principal video, and then it had a parent testimonial video and a student testimonial video. They could have more videos, but everyone had to have the 4 videos. And our team, of course, assisted, but our campuses did a great job. And then if you look over, we had the exhibit halls, just like we had at the in-person event. We had the exhibit halls, the resource halls. You could look and you could find it by grade or by focus area. Also, our team made English and Spanish videos walking parents how to tour the website, what all we offered on the website. And so parents had 5 days to shop our website. It opened on a Monday, and then our actual virtual live event was on the Saturday. So if you want to go ahead, Brian, and advance to the next. So just like we've done for the past 9 years, we market our GPISD experience every year because, as Tracy said, it's our biggest event, it's our school shopping event, and it's how we fill our seats. So I didn't tell you, but we moved our in-person event to virtual, and it went from November to January this year. And so our marketing, just like we do the in-person event, we had our billboards. We sent out over 125,000 mailers, and we had our social media ads along with our paid social media ads. And with this being our 10th year to do schools of choice and programs of choice in the GPISD experience, we had those 10, you see those 10-year photo ops. Those were amazing. We had several of those custom made, and we had those around at our campuses with students holding signs, and we put all those out on social media promoting the event as well as paid social media ads. If you'll go to the next slide. So the day of the event, the live event, was on Saturday, January 9th from 9 to noon. We had over 7,000 hits to our virtual experience website, which was a huge success. our campuses, what they did was they hosted Facebook Lives where you could chat with the principal, you could get your questions answered. And during the 5 days that parents could shop our website, they could submit questions to the principal so that on the day of the live event, principals could be able to answer all of their questions. We also had students on the Facebook Lives telling about their campuses. And on the results, we are very excited to see that our virtual event was very successful. Last year, our in-person event, we had 1,033 student applications submitted. And then this year, with our virtual event, we had 1,394. So we were really excited. We had no idea if it would be successful. We knew that the in-person event was successful every year based on the number of students who applied to attend GPISD. So we were very excited this year when our virtual event was more successful. And then on that day, as you can see where the 10 years where the ladies are sitting, we had phone banks open that day where we had English and Spanish, assisting parents on how to apply. If they ran into any issues, they could call. And actually that phone bank was open all day so that they could get help in English or Spanish. If you want to go, I think that.
Okay, I'm trying to get unmuted there. Okay, so we not only do our families get the opportunity to shop for their school at our experience, be it in person or virtual, which we all loved the virtual experience this year. Galen's team did an amazing job, and the principals. It was definitely a joint effort. But not only do they get the opportunity to shop for their school with our experience, we also have, and I'm going to hold it up. It's a catalog that has all of our course offerings, and and then just about all of our schools and the programming that they have available. And that's something that Galen's team put together. It's an amazing resource. We arm our realtors, our ministerial alliance with these catalogs so that they can help support us in telling our story as well. So everything that's included in this is also detailed on our website. So we've got an amazing resource to refer our families to as they're making decisions about their child's educational experience. Our principals also open their campuses to provide tours for families to come in and see the campus in person and learn more, see the campus and then learn more about the programming from the principal. And as it says, and of course our experience, but then customer service, Galen alluded to this, is key. So over the years, we've really refined our customer service approach. We understand that we've got to provide the support for families during that application process. So we have trained staff available during the day at the campuses and then at our parent involvement center, but we also hold parent support sessions in the evenings each week to support the parents. And then of course it's important that it be in multiple languages. Now, we do have a choice specialist that works with me, and she's very much my right, and some days my left arm as well, to work through that, But she is dedicated to helping parents navigate the application process, ensuring that our applications are functioning properly, training all of our staff members to provide customer service. She helps our principals through the consideration and the approval and denial process, and works with our parents through every step of it, through the reconsideration process. So we do have one staff member that is dedicated to this work to make sure that our application process is smooth. And then Brian felt like it was really important that we share that every department in our district has a role and ownership in supporting this work. And so, Brian, you can, that we are on the right one. Okay, so while we do have Lisa, our choice specialist, we pull together all of our departments, and then we have weekly touch points with each of those departments to ensure that the work is progressing beginning in September, October, depending on when our experience is going to be. But it does take our communication team to plan the events and marketing, training our frontliners. We use our parent liaisons. We use our campus office staff, our administrators. We have a key communicator on every campus. We give them our elevator speech and the basic customer service training so that when they're approached, they can assist without having to have parents call another number or go to a different building. So we've got a support mechanism built in place for all of our families. I will tell you, our technology team, boots on the ground, amazing. Our PEMS play a vital role in the preparation and in the execution during open enrollment. Counselors work with us to make sure course selections are taken care of and that we're able to staff. So there are many, many more people that assist in this work. It really does take the whole village working together. And we all do work in different departments, but we come together as one unit around this work. But it is very, very rewarding when we get to see the excitement of our families, and each morning whenever we come in, anxious to see those application numbers rise. So it is all worth it when we get to say, yay, we did better than last year. And we really, truly do get to say that every year. So it's continual improvement. Brian, I think that's all I have. I don't.
It's fantastic. I really appreciate you mentioning the continuous improvement. I think this links up really well with the session that happened an hour or two ago that Margot and Star led. I appreciate they're here as well. And your after action surveys, I thought was a really good lesson of every year we do a little bit better. And I think that's what really inspired me seeing the data is it wasn't this Pollyanna story. It was a 10-year journey of going from losing more than 1,000 students a year, which in a 25,000-ish student district's a real number. And every year doing a little bit better and hearing from families and doing better. So thank you for sharing. A few questions, and for folks on the line, feel free to type them in the chat or you could come off mute. The first one we have here is from Tim, and this could be for both Garland and Grand Prairie. Interested to hear how charter school competition has impacted your strategies for student recruitment and retention. If you could shed some light on that.
I was going to say that most of the loss that we see is coming from the charter schools that are located kind of in the northern part of our district. And so it has definitely, it was one of the reasons that we knew that we needed to go ahead and do open enrollment, but it has also helped us to kind of refine our internal communication plan as well. So you saw what, and we have it's not a new team, but we have new leadership in our communications team. Our executive director and our new director are new to this process. And so to see the energy that they have put forward in helping us with open enrollment for this part of the year, we're looking forward to having a more permanent campaign of outreach for this next period of choice of school that we have. And so really looking forward to this upcoming school year, but definitely our outreach and our communication have changed over the years due to our charter school competition.
I will say it is staying one step ahead and really making sure that our stories are out there, and it is a good bit of marketing. And I'm going to give the creators of the stories, our principals, our campus, our students. I mean, there's got to be stories to tell, and then we've got to tell them well. And so that's something that we've refined over the years that we and again, staying one step ahead. And I don't know, Galen, you can speak more to the marketing aspect of it, but it's having a story to tell and making sure that it gets told.
I agree with you. Telling our story is huge, and I agree. Staying one step ahead and showing our students. Half the time you forget that we have so many options, and making sure we're showing all of our kids all the options they have available right here is huge.
That's great. We have another question about what we've observed about the segments of students that are opting into your district from other districts. So from Grand Prairie, has there been a shift over time in which students are coming in? Is it students that are saying, maybe my neighborhood school in my home district isn't as high performing, and so I'm trying to seek a higher performing school in Grand Prairie? Maybe it's about the specific program model. Maybe it's something else. So Grand Prairie, I'd love to start with you, and then Dr. Hemphill, we'll come over to you in a second. What are some of the early things that you've seen? So, right, we're 6-8 weeks into this. Who are the families that were first to be knocking on the door, and what was driving them to call and pursue this option? We'll start with Grand Prairie.
I will go back to what was our probably first elementary anyway choice campus, and it was Garner at Fine Arts. And it was a small neighborhood campus that was dwindling enrollment, and we were considering, and quite frankly, about to close the campus. And the community rallied, and they developed an amazing fine arts program, and that campus is now our largest elementary. We've actually added on to that. So it's kind of, if you build it, they will come. Thought process as well, but then our traditional campuses are not equally as sought after, but they are a draw as well. So I don't know that I can say it's any one thing. We do try to, as I think Babetta mentioned, try to get them early, get them in pre-K and kindergarten, and get them to be, customers then, and retain them. If you apply to our district or to a campus, and you continue to meet the criteria, you don't have to reapply every year. You become a Bowie Bobcat for life. I mean, for your entire school career, or as long as you're meeting the criteria. So we do try to get them in as young as we can, and keep them loyal to our brand. So I don't know, Galen, do you?
I was going to say, speaking as a parent, I do believe that parents are coming, and we all know now that we can shop for our kids' future and find things that our kids are interested in. So it drew me back to the district to come back when that elementary fine arts academy, that was right down my daughter's alley. And now she's going to the 6th through 12th grade audition only fine arts academy, and she loves it. So I'm speaking as a parent. If my kid is happy, I'm very happy. And so that's the best testimony I can give you.
And my daughter as well. So I have one that attends our collegiate institute, and honestly, that's not her, but that could very well be her on the left-hand side of that screen at one of our STEM academies. So
I think
do I?
I thought that was her. I thought I had her in there.
I know that may very well be mine. So yes, parents love being able to choose the option that's best for their child. And so it's about the parents having the choice and the voice in their child's education. So,
Dr. Hemphill, I'd love to hear any emerging trends that you're seeing in Garland.
So thanks to your partnership, one of the things we did in the application was ask parents, why are you making this choice? And the top reason is just the academic quality. So knowing that the schools that they're choosing, that's what they're looking at. The next reason was the specialized programming, because we do have magnet programming and an early college high school or P-TECH option at all of our high schools. And so we have 7 high schools, and that was another draw, so specialized programming. And then one that was surprising, or maybe not, was just the diversity of our student body throughout the district was another draw that parents noted on their application. So those were definitely the top 3. The fourth one was location. That one didn't figure in as highly as some of the others, but we do notice there are a few parents that are putting location, because we do have campuses in our district that are closer than going across the lake into another school district. They can see our campus from their home, whereas they have to battle traffic to get to the school district that they're zoned for. So those right now are what we're seeing in just our couple of months that we've been doing this.
Sure. We mentioned families understanding the right to choose. And I think coming out of COVID, that is more true now than it's probably ever been, where families were thinking about, do I go virtual versus in person? Do I keep a younger student at home for a year and take the year off because we're not ready for kindergarten? I think parents understand choice now more than ever. And so districts that lean into that mindset are much better positioned to increase their enrollment than districts that think that it's going to go back to the old way of, well, you live on it, Elm Street, therefore you're going to go to this school, or you live on Maple and you're going to go to that school. That mindset has shifted, and I don't think it's going to revert back. So tapping into that, I think, is key. We've talked about COVID keepers and how, yes, we want to get rid of most things from the past year, but there are some things we want to keep. Grand Prairie, I'm really interested in what do you think you're going to keep from the virtual experience that you did this past year, given how successful it was, versus also bring back some of the in-person events? What do you see as the future balance of virtual versus in-person recruiting?
I think we'll continue to have the virtual experience with possibly a hybrid with some in-person pieces as well to continue to build those relationships. But our virtual experience was hugely successful. So I hope we're going to do some kind of a hybrid this year.
I'm going to tell you, it was, the families loved it and the principals loved it, the staff that supported it. So yes, I agree with Galen that I would hope we could keep that. This year, we were not able to do the campus tours just due to COVID. And so I hope that we are able to bring that back and possibly have maybe a little more focus on come and see it in person as well, but still have the virtual. We're still working through that, Brian. but yeah, it was very successful, and all of our stakeholders really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I think one of the things that was so successful about it is if you only visited one or two schools that morning, you recorded these videos and families could follow up in the week later, the week after that. And so that effort of 1 hour lasted for many, many more hours. And if you think of the number of touch points you got that morning, you may have doubled or tripled it over the ensuing weeks because of families. I had something going on that day, but you know what? A week later, that was the time I could sit with my family and do it from my couch. And we know that that's been a big behavior shift as well. So I think that's really important for other districts to think about. I don't know if anything beats an in-person school tour. That feel that you have for it is so key, but this is a really good, appetizer to get a sense of it. I have one other question for the Grand Prairie team, and feel free to keep the questions coming through. What were some of the supplemental events you had at the in-person experience to get 10,000 people there? That is an extraordinary number for a district of 27-ish thousand students. What did you do to get people to show up to that event that other districts can think about to get as much foot traffic as possible to that in-person event?
Well, I can go ahead, Tracy.
No, I was going to say it definitely had a circus in a positive way. I mean, it was a very festive event. But Galen, you take that away. Petting zoos, anything you can imagine. But
it was basically a fall festival, fall carnival, if you will. We had petting zoos, face painting, balloon artists. We had superheroes walking around to engage kids in photo ops. And we had misinformation in their big prom dresses walking around as princesses. And we had a train to ride. and all kinds of carnival games. But we also utilize our own students to come and perform. We have performances set up all day so that we can showcase all the different fine arts that we have. We have construction trades set up, showcasing all the things they've made and what they do. So we have our own students there, as well as prospective students and parents coming through. It's a fall festival, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge because most families attend a school. They don't attend a district. But this is one of those unifying moments that brings people together for larger districts. We know that in smaller districts, there's the Friday night lights, the community aspect of those types of athletic events. But for larger districts where you have multiple high schools, it's harder to have that cohesion. And so I love what you've done with those larger events and find ways to get people out there. I've heard of other districts, they anchor, and even individual schools, they anchor to their winter concerts right before the holidays as a way to, you got all the families there, let's talk to them about, schools and things like that. So I love that. Got another question here. When you think about SGS, you can think about the connections between the different levers that we've been speaking about over the past few days. And one of those key connections is school models and enrollment systems. And so the question here from Star is, as you think about the journey with your schools over the past few years, how have you seen open enrollment and a little bit of the competition for students, knowing that program models is one of the things that parents look for? If you have a traditional school that may not have, something really definitive versus another school that's got the STEM school, it's got the, the arts school, arts programming. How has that played into school leaders seeking out wanting more unique programming, or at least better being able to articulate the program that they do have?
Well, I will say that we've been talking about our choice campuses, but I also am going to say that every one of our campuses in our district is a choice campus, because the parents, quite frankly, have the choice to move to another campus, and they are choosing to remain at their traditional neighborhood school. And so there are families who want to be able to walk their children to school and have that more traditional neighborhood feel. So it hasn't. Now, we do have some of our choice campuses that are large, and I'm going to go back to Garner and our De Zavala, our environmental science academy, that are significantly larger than our more traditional campuses. But it has not. Our traditional campuses are holding their own as well. They offer a very comprehensive approach, and I'm speaking mainly about elementary right now. Our middle and high schools all have some form of program of choice that draws the students to them. We do try to keep it to have a vertical line of, if you started in the arts, you've got the opportunity, you've got some amazing, you can either go into a traditional campus and continue on with your arts, or we have the Fine Arts Academy where Galen's daughter actually attends, that you can go and have a 6 through 12 fine arts centered approach to education. So, but we do have, quite frankly, a really large amount of families that do still want the traditional approach. So all of the campuses end up being a great choice for our families. I don't know if that's what you asked, but
yeah, and I think that's very helpful. When you've shared all of our schools are choice campuses, that mindset, and Dr. Hemphill and I have had the same conversation. Garland is an open enrollment, there's no attendance areas. It's the same mindset. I think that really helps, because we know that in many places it's not that mindset. And so I think that can trickle down, right, from district leadership to school leadership. And so if you're going to have, teachers that might do a little bit of extra recruiting, or some folks in the front office that are engaging families on this, that mindset's really important. I think it really starts with that mindset that this is really important. Have you seen have you seen schools, and Dr. Hempel, I'm really interested in your thoughts on this as well. Have you seen school leaders get better at articulating like their elevator pitch? Or do you have any thoughts on that for other districts that they may not have as much of this embedded in their school leaders?
So I think definitely at our campuses that are that have magnets at them, and like I said, our high schools all have some draw to them, either the PTech or ECHS or collegiate programming. Our middle schools, we only have a few middle school programs, and so we have 13 middle schools. Not all of them have a draw, but I would say about 2 years ago is when I think everybody started embracing the fact that we are all choice schools. Even though we had open choice throughout the district, we were really letting parents make those decisions. Oh, this one's closer, it's on my way to work. But we're starting, I think, to understand better that we are always enrolling, and we are always recruiting people to our campuses. And so I would say that yes, people are embracing that. There are some folks who have been doing it for longer, and so they of course have that elevator speech already together. But I think everyone now is starting to do that and to really hone in and refine those. We have an awesome GIS department. I think one of my teammates is on here, and so I mean they can really kind of localize, hey, this is your universe here in Garland ISD. If you want to send flyers out, if you want to do a neighborhood walk, they can help you figure out exactly where you need to go and where you need to aim your attention within your community. So that has also been another real help. We find that our pre-K campuses, we have 2 pre-K centers, they're excellent at that, going into the neighborhood and meeting their families and getting them to come into the centers. So yes, we are all becoming, I think, pitchmen for our schools.
That's great. I know we are running up against the clock here. I think one common thread from today's session to if you weren't able to attend yesterday's session with Gabby Faghetti and Colleen Dipple from Families Empowered, it's getting to know the community and meeting them where they're at. I think one of the things that's so impressive about what Garland does is they even have a bus that drives around to different neighborhoods that maybe they can't get to the district office because it's far away from where they live. Maybe, they have a lot of things going on. They're doing these events at night and on weekends because we know that families have a lot of obligations during the day. And so meeting families where they're at, I think, is something that Grand Prairie has been doing for 10 years in terms of engaging them. And I think Garland's doing a great job of that as well. So if you weren't able to attend that session yesterday, hopefully you can catch it down the road. I think the last thought on this, we talked about staffing positions, and we know that that budgets are constrained all over the place. But this is one of the few revenue plays that you have outside of grants and stimulus funds and things like that. If you think of empty seats in a classroom, just like as Tracy said, a Southwest flight having a few empty seats, they get people on standby and try to go fill those empty seats. If you have a classroom that could have up to 22 students, and there's only 19 students in it so far, if those 3 seats sit empty, you're still paying for all the same staffing. And so this is an opportunity to fill those, to have the revenue that comes with students and use it to fund some of these positions. I know that there's the optics of funding more central office positions. If children can bring $5,000 or $10,000 in funding with them, can a new staff member pull in 10 students even to do this? And as we've seen, Grand Prairie's gone from losing more than 1,000 students to now bringing in like a net choice in behavior. And so I think there's a real revenue play. So if you're trying to buddy up with a chief financial officer or someone in the budget department, this is a real revenue play that other districts have explored. Really appreciate everybody sticking to the end. I know it's been a great few days. Really appreciate you sticking with us. And I really appreciate Garland and Grand Prairie, to Dr. Hemphill, to Tracy, to Galen. Thank you so much for sharing all your thoughts with us. And we look forward to continuing this learning community down the road as districts continue to push on enrollment. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Just wanted to let you know that the Open Frame Networking Lounge is available if you would like to hop into that and continue chatting. So good to see all of you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.